You're listening to Double Time, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Priest.
Hello, Shaun Priest. How are you? I'm just doing that for you now.
That was very loud. Well done. Yes, I'm very well, Stephen. How are you, sir?
I am good. I believe, and I could be wrong here, but I believe tonight you and your good lady are going to a book reading.
Yes, well, you could say that. Alice Cooper, live in Manchester. You can't beat a bit of Alice.
So Alice Cooper reading the hits of her sister Julie Cooper.
Stop
Is that
it.
right?
You're doing it on purpose now. You know Alice Cooper. Feeding my Frankenstein. Hey, stupid. $1 billion baby. School's out. Everyone knows school's out. School.
Oh, I know that one. School's out for winter. Yes, I know that one.
76 years old, sir, and still rocking it. Well, we'll find out.
But this could be it. Yeah, who knows? The last gig ever.
You know what, though? Sarah is so excited about going to this concert, and I'm a little bit meh. You know?
Oh, hang on. Now, is that you're not looking forward to, or are you nervous?
No, no, I'm not really nervous because the assistance is great at where we're going. But it's all about the stage show, and now I can't see the stage show. I don't know.
Oh, just go and enjoy it. Just listen to the music. Who cares?
Well, yeah, I suppose so. But Alice is all about, it's all guillotines and other gross stuff.
No, it's just like what goes on in my head most days.
No, it's going to be fun.
My kind of thing.
It's going to be fun.
Okay, I must check out the hits. Can I get Alice Cooper on Apple Music? Is that a thing?
Of course. It's
Excellent.
Huge.
I've never listened, apart from that School's Out, which I've never gone out of my way to listen to. It's usually on an advert or something. But no, I have no idea who Alice Cooper is. It's like our good friend Marc is a huge fan of, is it Metalhead? Metalhead?
Metal Liquor. Yes, Metallica he loves.
Metallica, yes, that's right. Again, never heard of it. Never listened to a single song.
Okay, well.
Do they do Highway to Hell? Who does Highway to Hell?
AC/DC.
Yeah, I know them. Well, I know that song.
Well done. I don't know a lot of your country and western songs, so we're all different. That's what makes us great.
It's not country and western. Don't start all that. Don't disparage me.
What's wrong with country and western? I love Dolly Parton.
Good old-fashioned, soulful music.
Oh, is it?
With a hint of beer and tractors and,
and slide guitar.
And occasional questionable morals. But other than that,
well, I think we've alienated all the youth out there. So sorry. Keep listening.
Right. Well, look, I hope you enjoy it tonight. I hope it's a lot of fun. Tomorrow, I'm expecting you to be asking me a lot of, what did you just say? And what was that?
Oh, yeah. Ringing in my ears and unable to speak. I'm sure that'll happen.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what you're like on this. Oh, this could be fun tomorrow. I can't wait to hear this. Look, today we're going to dive into the inbox. We're not going to dive into the WhatsApps yet, although I must admit yesterday, bing, 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 bing. It was like Crazy Frog in here.
That's very good.
Thank you.
Again, one for the youth.
I have no idea who that is, but I remember something about a song that went ding, 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 ding. So yes, WhatsApp, Shaun, do the honours.
Is 613 481 0144. Oh, that was close.
Nice. I like doing it that way.
The tune always works.
Yeah. It's also handy when you're putting a show together to sync everything up together.
Sorry.
But yeah, no, that works. It's really good. It actually helps. So yes, if you want to get in touch on WhatsApp, you can. That is the number, 613-481-0144. Or you can, of course, get in touch the old-fashioned way. Yes. Up until yesterday, it was the only way. Now it's the old-fashioned way. Feedback at doubletaponair.com. Email, yes, you can still email. We're going to this jingle we've got for the emails getting a little bit old. We're going to WhatsApp. We get WhatsApp.
Oh yeah,
you get your WhatsApps, emails, and voicemails every day.
Yeah, it's getting a bit complicated.
And every day I forget to mention this. We're on Facebook.
Are we?
Who knew?
When did that happen?
I have no idea.
Again, for the youth. Are we on TikTok as well? Believe
it or not, I am not kidding you. I got a message on my Facebook account saying, here's a page you might like to follow. Double tap. I'm going, what? Have we got competition? Has someone stolen our name? I was getting really annoyed. I went in, I checked it, I said, that's ours.
Oh, very
no
good.
idea.
So what are we posting up on Double Tap?
So each item which goes to the website and new episodes of the show appear there. People are liking them. They are. I don't think they're commenting, although I have no idea as to how that would even work.
We will get more involved and we will monitor that and interact.
That's your job. You can figure that one out.
No problem.
Have no idea. You're the Facebook guy.
I don't mind Facebook. Okay, yeah. I'll do that.
I'll stick to
figure
X and Mastodon. That's my
groups and pages, and I'm not quite sure how all that works, but we'll figure it out. Thank you. Follow us on Facebook.
So you can find us on Facebook. We're on Mastodon. We're on X. You can contact us on email, on voicemail, on WhatsApp. Goodness me. Lots of ways to get in touch with this program. YouTube comments as well. Thank you to those of you who leave those. I know we don't always respond instantly, but we will get there. I promise you. 7 years from now,
We're working on that.
You'll get a reply.
Have we got a PO box or something that people can send snail mail in?
Is there a pigeon available
on a postcode?
To send us some
postcard.
Mail? Yeah. Marc's up first. He's got a comment for us. Well, perhaps not for us. I'll let him explain.
Hi, Double Tappers. This message is not for Stephen and Shaun, but rather to the Double Tap listening audience. Please, please, please continue sending in your comments about audio description, especially in the United Kingdom. There is nothing I enjoy more than listening to Stephen go ballistic. Very entertaining. Marc on Miami Beach.
Thank you, Marc on Miami Beach.
In Miami Beach or on?
On Miami.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, is that a good thing? I mean, we got to start worrying about your blood pressure and things like that, Stephen Scott. It's not good to get those rants in all the time, although audio description is a bit of a trigger for you, isn't it?
Although since going on YouTube, I must admit it's nice to find ways to get some colour on my face.
Yeah.
So
big red face. Yeah,
that's
great.
right. Yeah, red is a colour. It's like when people say to me, "You need to get in shape." I said, "Round is a shape."
Yeah, exactly. Not a great shape to be in, but it's fine. Thank you, Marc.
Great shape. I just said shape. That's all I said. Thank you for that, Marc. Yes, I am sure there will be plenty more conversations like that. There may be some news on the horizon. I don't know details for certain yet, but I've heard rumours. There's some rumours that Sky may be finally getting their act together when it comes to audio description on demand. But you didn't hear that from me. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, keep it between us.
Just you and me, right?
Okay.
Negative Julian's here.
Hello, Stephen, Shaun and Laura. Negative Julian here again. Stephen, what am I going to do with you?
Oh, what now?
I think I'm going to end up shouting at you again.
Okay, fair enough.
Recently, Gregg emailed in bemoaning the fact that when he upgrades his current phone, he will lose his headphone jack and home button. And in the discussion that followed, Stephen ventured the opinion that the Motorola G54 does not have face unlock. Stephen, of course it does. Go into settings, security, and amongst many other things that a techie like you can play with, you will find the various methods for unlocking the phone. From memory, I believe you will find that you've got PIN unlock, password unlock, pattern unlock, fingerprint unlock, and Face ID unlock. So select what you want from that lot. Second thing, Gregg was worried about operating system updates. Gregg, congratulations, you have indeed spotted the serpent in our G54 Garden of Eden. Motorola are notorious for not providing many operating system updates. In the case of the G54, I believe they only guarantee one, and I rather think we've already had that moving from Android 13 to 14. So we're stuck there. But I'm going to say, don't worry about it. For one thing, in recent years, most OS upgrades have been evolutionary rather than revolutionary. Gradual improvements and refinements rather than great leap forwards. Now, with AI, of course, that may change, but then again, to get the full potential of AI, you may want to upgrade your entire device. Who knows? We've got to wait and see. So I wouldn't worry about that. Secondly, and very important, is to realize that with Android, the Google accessibility suite is not part of the operating system. It is maintained, upgraded, and provided separately through the Play Store. So even if Motorola never provides you with a single OS update, you will still get updates to the latest version of TalkBack. I know this from practical experience because recently I had cause to get an old phone out of my drawer full of old phones. And what I had in my hand was a device running Android 10, which is 4, maybe even 5 operating systems out of date. I turned it on. My first reaction was, gosh, this phone runs a lot slower than I remember. Then I realized that I'd obviously left automatic update turned on and the phone was busily downloading and then updating literally dozens of apps. So I left it to do its thing for a couple of hours. And when I came back, I found that I now had TalkBack 15 installed. Now, admittedly, it did not have the full feature set. It, for instance, did not have image description. And I'm sure if I dug around a bit more, I could have found a few other things. But the whole basic screen reader setup was there and fully operational. It talked perfectly. It recognized the buttons properly. It had all the gestures. It had verbosity settings. It had all that stuff. It was a perfectly usable, fully operational screen reader. So don't worry about it. You will not find that your device suddenly stops working just because you cannot upgrade to the latest operating system. It's not a big deal. Another way to think about this is that I believe Stephen said he paid £150 for his G54, near enough the equivalent of $150. Now think about it. If he keeps that phone for 3 years, perfectly reasonable, that's $50 a year. What can you get these days for $50 a year? Even Shaun must think that's a bargain.
Yes.
So I say if you've got the money, go for it. What are you going to lose? And by the way, I just remembered it's also got an FM radio built in as well as the headphone jack. So there you go. For now, this is bye from Negative Julian. Have a lovely day. Bye.
Thank you, as always, Negative Julian. Love your perspective. And yeah, I must say, every single day I've been playing with that G54 from Motorola. It kind of just feels like an absolute bargain. And I love the phrase serpent in the Garden of Eden
yes.
when it comes to the operating systems. Yeah, because I was kind of thinking at myself, am I going to get Android 15 on this? And to be honest, I was more interested in getting TalkBack 15. I wasn't as bothered about getting Android 15.
Of course. Yeah.
But there you go. I mean, and I had exactly that experience. I had turned it on one day, I think last week or week before, and it said, TalkBack has been updated. And I thought, this is fantastic. I went in, and of course, that image description feature using Gemini is working on there. And yeah, I was so impressed. So good. But yeah, I mean, I agree with all of that. I mean, I can't disagree with any of that.
It's such a clever move on Google's part to separate TalkBack from the OS.
100%.
And by the way, I mean, obviously that's the most important thing to us, but let's not also forget they've separated the core security elements as well out of the OS. So even if you're running an older OS, then don't worry too much about any security flaws because the core security is updated as well. You don't have to wait for the manufacturer to do that. It comes direct from Google. So there is a lot of bonuses even if you're not running the latest Android 15, etc.
And I know this sounds ridiculous, but I just feel it's more snappy than the Pixel 8 I've got. I don't know this sounds ridiculous, but I don't know. Using TalkBack with it feels snappy. It feels responsive. And I can't explain why that would be a much cheaper device, would be more snappy and more responsive, but it just is. It just
or at least it feels like that.
Yeah, it feels that way.
Yeah, if it feels like it, then it is. So, yeah, it's got me really intrigued, this one. What about, did you try the facial recognition? Have you looked for that?
And I think the thing that threw me there was because when you set up the phone at first, it doesn't offer you Face ID as an option.
Yes.
So you've got to set that up separately. It was Touch ID and it was the PIN. Those were the two, they use the fingerprint reader on the side and then set up the PIN. So it kind of gives you the impression, oh, maybe doesn't have it. But you're right. Absolutely right, Julian. When you go into the settings, you will find it in there. It has a number of ways. And again, these are things you don't even get in the base model of an iPhone. You don't even get it in the Pro model of an iPhone.
Yeah. Sounds like a bargain. I think Julian's
it does feel that
right.
way. I mean, I got to say, I was looking for that. I was looking for that almost perfect priced, full-featured Android device you don't have to go out and spend hundreds and hundreds or even thousands of dollars on.
Yeah.
I think this is it. I think Motorola have just got it nailed with this. I mean, if the updates to the OS bother you, then absolutely you're going to have to consider a newer device. But those newer devices will also have limits on their updates. You'll have to buy a new device eventually. So, but as Julian says, does it really matter?
Yeah, what are you missing out? What killer feature do you get with a new major update?
And we're going to dive into that because Android 15 has just come out. We're going to dive into what the pros and cons are of that with some of our Android user listeners who, can tell us from their perspective whether or not it's actually worth the update or not. Very interesting email. Thank you for that, Julian. Appreciate it. Let's go to Robbie, who has got in touch on the subject of Neuralink.
Hey, Stephen and Shaun. It's Robbie from Ontario, Canada here. I saw the Elon Musk Neuralink episode, and I just wanted to share my thoughts on it, coming from a totally blind person who has never seen in his life due to retinopathy of prematurity disease, ROP. So as I'm listening to this little video that you guys played, my thoughts are, I'm kind of with Shaun on this. Like, if you want to, if you want to provide research, if you want to talk about the research that's being shown, that's fine. That's good. At least there are things being done. My thing is, though, when you start making promises that this is going to, this is definitely going to cure someone, this is going to help them, we're going to, quote, turn the lights on for a blind person or something like that. I think that's what it said. I might be puncturing that, but something along those lines. That's where I have an issue with, because I'll tell you something. As somebody like me who has never seen before, I can honestly say, if I were to, quote unquote, have the lights on, I would have to go through months, maybe years of rehab in order to be able to function. In my opinion, those presenters are coming at it from a sighted person's perspective and not a blind person's perspective, because in my opinion, if a blind person was to see again, quote unquote, they would have to go through years, if not months, of rehab in order to understand what the world means. It would be one big scary place to a blind person. So that's my thoughts on it. Just thought I'd mention that. Love the show. Thanks so much. And yeah, bye.
Thanks, Robbie. Appreciate the email or the voicemail. I really appreciate that. Of course, you can get in touch and leave us a voicemail on 1-877-803-4567. And of course, feedback at doubletaponair.com. And on WhatsApp, 613-481-0144
well done.
Is the number. I got it right.
Yes, you didn't sing it. Well done.
Didn't even sing it. There you go. I take your point, Robbie. I totally get it from your perspective. I do. But I don't think that opinion should necessarily stop or halt progress. And I'm sure you feel the same way. But I think, and I guess the impression from what you're saying is that you just don't like the idea of this being seen as some kind of solution that's coming down the line. But then equally, I sometimes feel that there's a bit of a, well, for blind people, being blind is fine. We don't need to change anything. And your case, Robbie, and I've heard this case echoed many times from people who've been blind since birth, that absolutely you may not want to ever have vision, because for you that could become a disability. I get that. I totally get that. But it's interesting you say that you feel that the video that we played in and the whole conversation is coming from a sighted perspective, well, I have to say I'm coming at it from a sighted perspective as well, because I've had more, I never had full vision, but I've had more vision than I have now. And would I want even that back? Absolutely. So I think that's where I come from with this. I think there is a sighted perspective here, which is not just from the people who are creating the technology, but also from people like myself who do look at this from the sighted perspective, that having vision is preferable to not having vision.
Yeah, regain what you've lost. If you've never lost it, then it's not so much of a, I don't know, maybe you don't miss it so much. That seems almost too glib to say, but I think...
If you can't know what you don't have.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So
you just are what you are.
It's two very different... I think that's why I feel with this discussion, there's to me, we always seem to come back to this point, which I think is a really important point. It doesn't get discussed enough, if at all, is that there are two camps here. You know, often blind people and low vision people are just lumped together into one category.
Yes.
But it doesn't always work when you think about it. Because
No, it doesn't.
In that group, it doesn't make sense. Because someone who's been blind since birth will have a very different view of the world, and blindness may not even factor much in their minds. They just do what they do. They've got the skills to do it. They've got Braille. They've got, the computing skills. They know how to, use a screen reader. Whatever it is they've learned through life and they've learned through education, those skills were taught to them as they needed. But someone who's low vision or comes to sight loss later in life has a very different approach, and it's vastly different. The opinion about it, the attitude towards it. People talk about, internal ableism when you suggest that being blind is bad. No, that's our experience. It's not internalized ableism. It's just, that's our opinion. That's our view.
Yeah,
I don't want to be blind. I'm sorry. I don't want to be blind.
Yeah.
It's not what I want.
Look, you got to be careful of being sweeping generalizations, but I think that's absolutely true. The mental impact of losing vision rather than being born without vision, anyway, I think there's a distinct difference there, how people handle that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, as someone who had sight previously, I see this as a big disability, and that's just it. That's the fact of the matter for me.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so it's an emotive topic, and I know we do come back to this from time to time, but it's an important conversation to have. Listen, we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back in about 10 seconds, and we're going to talk to a good friend of the show. I was going to say old friend of the show, but that doesn't seem very nice. A good friend of the show, Gregg Hayes, is coming back to talk to us about Tesla's big announcement. I don't know if you've been following the news on Tesla, but they've been announcing some interesting stuff. Do keep your comments coming. We love them coming in. Of course, all the usual ways. Feedback at doubletaponair.com. You can call 1-877-803-4567, and you can now get in touch on WhatsApp.
Double Tap is now on WhatsApp. Yep, we finally did it. Send an audio or video message to 613-481-0144 or visit doubletaponair.com/WhatsApp.
Now, look, we love to talk about driverless cars, and one event which kind of passed me by, like an electric car, was Tesla's big event, their robo-taxi event. They were showcasing, or Elon Musk in particular was showcasing a latest innovation from Tesla, which was this robo-taxi, completely autonomous vehicle, a robo-van, and even a robot as well we can use in our homes. It did mention it could walk the dog, and I immediately got my interests up. Yeah, I'm sure it would be for you as well, especially the cold mornings you've had to go walking.
Exactly.
And we all remember what happened that morning, that fateful morning.
Can a robot get lost in the hedge like a human can? No.
It absolutely can. It absolutely can. We can put it to the test, especially where you live. I'm pretty sure it'll be possible. But listen, I thought, look, I want to talk about this, but who better to talk about it with than our own resident driverless car expert from Phoenix, Arizona? Gregg Hayes is back with us. Hey, Gregg.
Hello. How are you?
Good. I'm excited about this event. I mean, I'm excited. Well, I am, because I'm excited about any development in the driverless car space.
Sure.
But
that's fair.
I think it's also fair to say there are a lot of people who put off these events because of a certain Mr. Elon Musk. So I guess can we separate this out, Gregg? Can you mentally block Elon Musk out of your mind whilst thinking about the potential here, or are you just...
I think I can do it.
Okay.
I'm going to try very hard.
Okay.
I'm not a huge Elon fan, but I love the stuff that he builds and his companies build. So I can do that.
So I want to start with the robo-taxi because, of course, that was the big story, really, was this car, which reminded me a little bit from what the description I got of like the DeLorean car from Back to the Future, kind of similar in style, I think, at least from my understanding about it. And also, also described as a kind of mini cyber truck. Those kind of really boxy metallic design. Boring, I think, is what some people might call. And that seems to be the way cars are going. They're all going to turn into these kind of boring, grey, all the same looking kind of cars. But you know what? Autonomous sounds good. So anyway, did you watch the event?
I sure did.
And what was your takeaway?
I thought it was fun. I think there were a lot of fanboys there cheering him on, and I kind of found that amusing and fun. But I loved seeing the tech or hearing about the tech. It was just pretty cool. Some of the stuff that he had was pretty darn cool.
Now, I'm sure Shaun's got plenty to say on this, but before we do, let's hear a little bit from Elon as he announced the robo-taxi.
I think the cost of autonomous transport will be so low that you can think of it like individualized mass transit. The average cost of a bus per mile for a city, not the ticket price because that is subsidized, but the average price is about $1 a mile. Whereas the cost of cybercab, we think probably over time, from the operating cost is probably going to be around 20 cents a mile. And price, including taxes and everything else, probably ends up being 30 or 40 cents a mile. So yes, and you will be able to buy one. Yes, exactly. And we expect the cost to be below $30,000.
And that price did surprise clearly a lot of excitable people in that audience. Yeah. So, Shaun, what's your take on all this?
It's interesting, as Gregg says. It's fun, as Gregg says. And I take it with a huge, huge pinch of salt. That price point.
But why?
Well, because it's... Sorry. I'm going to
say
that.
Please, fight it out. I'm happy to sit back and let you two argue.
I'm going to take that as a serious question, Gregg, because this is Elon. I am so tempted to say Elon has turned into the boy that cried wolf. And the amount of promises he's made and broken when it comes to technology is absolutely ridiculous at this point. So I don't believe deadlines. I don't believe pricing. I don't believe functionality. We still don't have autonomous driving from Tesla. We just don't. And now they're saying that the hardware that they sold in the original Teslas, which was guaranteed to be able to be capable of self-driving, isn't. It's not going to be capable of it. It's not up to, it's not powerful enough. So I take this all with a huge pinch of salt. And I say this, and then I realize he's just managed to grab out of thin air the super heavy burner part of a spaceship, which is absolutely amazing science fiction technology. I honestly don't know where I stand on this. I just don't trust what he says anymore.
Well, I think he promises things and deadlines. I agree, and pricing. We'll see. $30,000. That would be amazing. I don't believe it though, but he does promise a lot of things, but he usually comes through with a product that he promises. Right? He might not be the right price. Might be 5 years later, but usually the things that he talks about come about. Not always.
No, I agree.
But a lot of times.
Yes. I mean, he's made. Let's be fair and let's take away, as we mentioned many times before. You know, Steve Jobs. Many people had problems with his personality, him as a human being, but you can't argue with what he produced. And you can say the same thing with Elon, right? The Tesla. The electric car wouldn't be where we're at right now if it wasn't for Tesla. He made it sexy. He made it happen. and SpaceX. And look, there's other things. SpaceX is amazing.
Let's get sex in the name.
Of course, yes. But look, you say that the product does eventually appear, not with self-driving, not when we're talking about autonomy. He can't get this to work. I'm sorry, it's not down to regulation. It's not down to legislation. That's not what he's waiting for. The technology is so far behind what you've been using, Gregg, with Waymo. I mean, the stock price went down on Tesla 10 points, 10% after this event. And I believe it is called the cyber-cab, right? Not the robo-taxi.
Yeah, I keep calling it robo-taxi. Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I want to call it. That's what it is.
Exactly. Well, as you mentioned, though, the design, from what I've been told, is sort of similar to the Cybertruck. So the cyber moniker fits.
Yeah.
But I don't think they can. I don't think they've cracked that self-driving problem yet, and that's the key to.
I agree with you. Yeah, and even the dates that he's giving for that, again, there are self-driving taxis out there already. And Waymo is one example, and the Cruise is another. And he's still talking another couple of years.
Yeah, let's hear what he had to say on this, because he did address this at the event.
We do expect actually to start fully autonomous, unsupervised FSD in Texas and California next year. And that's with the Model 3 and Model Y. And then we expect to be in production with the CyberCab, which is really highly optimized for autonomous transport in probably, well, I tend to be a little optimistic with timeframes, but in 2026. So, yeah. Before 2027, let me put it that way.
So even he's being a little bit,
he knows
pushing it out a little bit. I mean, what's causing that though, Gregg, do you think? Is it the regulation, or is it the technology that Shaun's talking about? I mean, what's causing the delay here? I mean, I guess there has to be a lot of trials in order to satisfy regulators it's safe on the road.
Yeah, I was going to say, because he said California and Texas. California already has this allowed with other companies. So it's not a regulation thing in California, as far as I can tell, but it's the technology. And the big, go ahead, Shaun.
No, sorry, Gregg, you carry on.
No, I was just going to say the technology, to me, I've talked about this before, is the Waymo cars have more sensors built into them. They know, these Teslas are, from what I can tell, purely reliant on the cameras. They're not using LiDAR. They're not using all the same sensors. And so I think they are behind. And I think it's a big reason why they're not.
And he has said previously, he did say at a previous event, that LiDAR costs so much money to implement that they're looking for a way around LiDAR, a way to avoid using LiDAR. So he's very clear on this. He wants to bring the cost of these vehicles down, and that's one way to do that, is to get rid of these sensors. But of course, the key is, does that marry up with safety? And I guess we don't know the answer to that yet, because we haven't seen these on the road.
Well, we do. No. If it did, then as Gregg mentioned there, the legislation in certain areas is already there for self-driving cars. If they were able to put this out safely for trial, they would do that. The fact of the matter is, because of the lack of LiDAR and 3D environmental mapping, just using image and object recognition through the cameras, and he's banking heavily on AI to solve this problem, isn't working.
Yeah.
And I mean, who knows with Elon? This may be a genius move of keeping costs down, and 2 years in the future, he may come out and say, we've cracked it. You just don't know. But the fact of the matter is, he's taken a gamble here that AI will be able to fix this, or be able to solve this problem of just using 2D cameras for self-driving. I don't know. I don't know if that's... I'm pretty sure that the other companies would have gone that route if they thought it was feasible.
I find it interesting that he's promising that the existing cars are going to have the autonomy sooner than the cabs. I would have thought he would have gone the other way, because the cabs you can do it in a more controlled environment, map out a city, for instance, and have more control.
They've got millions... Sorry, Gregg. They've got millions of miles, millions of hours of data of driving
Yes.
from all the Teslas they've sold already. But again, he mentions that it will be FSD, full self-driving, will be available for the Model Y and the Model, what was the other one he said? I can't remember now. But it's not across the board, which is what he promised to these people when they bought the Teslas. I'm really irritated by that. And, you know, he recently won a lawsuit that was brought against him, a class action lawsuit from people saying, hey, you promised us that we'd be able, these cars, if we bought them now, would be capable of self-driving. And now he's saying they're not. No,
he not only promised, but he charged. I went to a Tesla dealership once just because I was interested. And this is 5 years ago. And they said, yeah, well, if you give us a couple extra $1,000, you can have self-driving when it comes out. And I didn't buy the car, and I certainly didn't buy the extra. So I think those people at least should have gotten their money back. But
yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah, who knows? Look, it's difficult to bet against Elon because time and time again he's done things which you just think that's amazing, and he does like to say, you know, this is science fiction without the fiction. Well, I think was his latest quote, and you know, anyone else you would sort of laugh at, but with Elon, it's kind of true in some cases. But
I want him to be right.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Well, this is why I'm surprised at your negativity towards this, Shaun, because it feels a little bit like when they announced, I mean, I wasn't around, I don't think any of us were, when, you know, they announced that, you know, let's go to the moon. And that, I think when that announcement was made, if I remember rightly, you know, nobody had a clue how they were going to get to the moon. It was a case of, well, we'll figure it out. Just let's make the announcement. Let's, you know, G everybody up. You know, let's just make it happen. And, you know, they spent the next 10 years figuring it out. You know, and I think that, you know, we're at a point where technology has clearly gone to a level where these cars are currently able to move around and drive by themselves. This is not a myth. It's not, you know, it's possible. There is no doubt a huge amount of legal red tape and government regulation required. And there needs to be for these to function, because it cannot be the case that these things, I mean, I would be more worried about using these vehicles if there was no regulation or they were just being allowed to roam free on our streets, because we know that would just increase the number of accidents and it would put people off even going near them. It may even kill the whole idea of driverless cars on their head. It needs regulation. We need that to be in place. That will slow the whole process down. It's why we're not going to see them immediately on our streets as much as we'd like to. Unlike Gregg, of course, who does have them on his streets. But actually that gives me the hope as well, because I see that, you know, there are projects like Waymo. And of course, we all remember that fantastic video of you, Gregg, you know, getting into the Waymo car and, you know, the car driving through the city and, you know, just taking you to where you were going, and, you know, a fairly effortless experience. And it seems like in the race to get these cars on the move, Waymo have clearly got it nailed at the moment. They've got it nailed. They're moving further forward than Tesla is. I think where Tesla can win is perhaps not in the long run. Or I should say in the short run. In the long run, they will win because they will be able to produce cars at a lower cost. To me, this is very much a dream world at the moment, from what I'm hearing. You know, the car being $30,000 or less. And I think when we talk about cabs, you know, how many of them would be required? So I could see that car being available for that cost. That would kind of make sense to me, and especially if you're talking about removing as many of the sensors as they are talking about.
And that's my thing is I really hope he does, because it would be great to bring it down. I'd love to have something that was in my grasp to purchase for me and my family. But I think, you know, I'm not convinced that that's happening anytime soon. And the big thing is, again, why is Waymo successful? Waymo's taking it in smaller bites. I mean, it's a whole city. Phoenix is a large city with many, many square miles. And they didn't start with the whole city. They started with one little part. They got it down. They mapped it. They used all those special sensors that they have, and they came up with a great map. And they expanded until just a few months ago, they got it up to my house, which I'm on the north end of Phoenix. But they didn't have that for a long time. And the big thing is, as I say, they meticulously mapped it out and figured it out. Whereas these are just going to be supposedly able to go anywhere. And that's why I was saying I'm surprised they're not going to do the cabs before they promise the regular cars that are out there to have this ability, because, you know, those can go anywhere. Whereas cabs, they have to go within a certain grid.
Can I ask a really stupid question?
Yeah.
Because this just came to me as I'm saying all this, and as we're talking about buying these. If they can drive themselves and they're taxis, who's buying them? Because who needs them, right? I mean, it's like they drive themselves, so who would buy it?
Oh, sure. I would.
They'll just send them out from the factory and just say, off you go.
Yeah, but then you have to rent it, right? You have to pay for a taxi every time. If you buy it, then it's
so
yours.
a company might buy them
for your family,
right? But
sure.
Would you buy? You don't get buy for your family. Yeah. It's a taxi.
Yeah, but the whole point and the selling point of the first Tesla was, you buy this car, it can make you money because when you're not using it, it can be off being a taxi.
Oh, that's what? Someone else in my car?
Exactly. Yes, that's right. Yes.
Or okay, let's say I could take it to work, go downtown, send it back to my wife so she can use it for whatever she's doing that day, bring the kids, to their soccer games football games.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I don't have to be there. I can, it brought me to work, and then it comes back at the end of the day, picks me up from work and brings me home. So I think it'd be a great thing for a family.
Okay. All right.
At $30,000, it'd be awesome. And then if I wanted to, I could do what Shaun suggested and what Elon has suggested, or somebody suggested, which is
Airbnb
it for a few hours.
Just Airbnb the car, basically. Yeah, that's just what Uber is, right?
Well, as we all know, when this actually does become the norm, right, car ownership's not going to be a thing. It would be pointless.
I agree. There won't be car ownership. It's going
to be a social shift anyway. But right now, you've seen the backlash about EVs already, they keep catching fire and a load of rubbish that you get because people don't want to give up the control. They want to drive it themselves. They love that. So,
by the way, those cars with gasoline in them,
they're fine. Absolutely, that's no accidents ever happened with a car with gasoline. Absolutely. Let's focus in on the other announcement. There was 3 major announcements, I guess, at the Tesla event, and next up it was the Robo Van.
What happens if you need a vehicle that is bigger than a Model Y? The Robovan. The Robovan is, we're going to make this, and it's going to look like that. Now, can you imagine going down the streets and you see this coming towards you? That'd be sick. So this can carry up to 20 people, and it can also transport goods. So you can configure it for goods transport within a city, or transport of up to 20 people at a time. So this is the Robovan is what's gonna solve for high density. So if you want to take a sports team somewhere, or you're looking to really get the cost of travel down to, 5-10 cents a mile, then you can use the Robovan. Some people call it the Robovan, but
yeah, because that's how you say it. Robo-van. Robovan.
And he called it the Robo-taxi before as well. What's going on?
Make your mind up, Elon. Yeah, I mean, again, this is just an extension of what this is, and essentially this is the, larger vehicle, and we're going to see different sizes of these things, and I get, there'll be various versions of the Robobus or Robobus, I can't do anything, Robobus. But it's all cool. It all sounds amazing. And of course, it's all dream world, at the moment, let's be honest, because they're not going to be on our streets anytime soon. But, I like the ideas. But there's one other announcement that was made that I thought was kind of interesting, and I wanted to get your guys' take on, and that was Optimus, which is the humanoid robot.
Speaking of robots, so everything we've developed for our cars, the batteries, power electronics, the advanced motors, gearboxes, the software, the AI inference computer, it all actually applies to a humanoid robot. It's the same techniques. It's just a robot with arms and legs instead of a robot with wheels. And we've made a lot of progress with Optimus. And as you can see, we started up with someone in a robot suit. sort of down. And then we've progressed dramatically year after year. So if you extrapolate this, you're really going to have something spectacular, something that anyone could own. So you could have your own personal R2-D2 C3PO. And I think at scale, this would cost something like, I don't know, $20,000, $30,000. Probably less than a car, is my prediction long term. Now, it'll take us a minute to get to the long term, but fundamentally at scale, the Optimus robot, you should be able to buy an Optimus robot for, I think, probably $20,000 to $30,000 long term. So, and what can it do? It'll basically do anything you want. So it can be a teacher, babysit your kids. It can walk your dog, mow your lawn, get the groceries, just be your friend, serve drinks. Whatever you can think of, it will do. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. And I think this will be the biggest product ever of any kind.
So he's not, over-promising too much there on that one, which is good. Only the biggest product ever made ever. Look, we've seen this before, right? I mean, it's not the first time we've seen these. I mean, I've been to CES. That's all you ever get. These robots dishing out drinks and, serving food, and, they're all kind of walking around with pennies on, doing the ironing and the washing and the whatever else. And it all sounds very lovely and great, but never see any of them actually materialize. And I'm sorry, at $20,000 or thereabouts per robot, I don't think we'll ever see this materialize in my lifetime or be affordable in my lifetime. But Greg, tell me otherwise.
Well, I want one desperately. I think it would be great to have C3PO in my house. Can I afford that in my house? No. But I don't know if they were doing anything special, but I watched this from our friends at IRA. Voice described it, or audio described it. And they were actually talking about the thing, being pretty smooth and graceful. And I don't think this time it was a person inside of a robot suit.
No, but it was human assisted, because someone did ask the question, are you human assisted? And it said, yes, I am. Which, I think immediately was taken outside the back and shot for daring to speak out of turn. But yeah, I mean, it did say it was human assisted, so fair enough. But
it's nonsense. What are we all talking about? It's absolute nonsense.
Here he comes, right, Grandad? Come on,
babysit your kids. This is just tech. I'm going to say
take the dog for a walk, Shaun. This is exactly what you need.
No, it's not going to happen. Yes, I know. I've got a flying carpet as well, but you'll get it by 2027. Give me a break. This isn't going to happen. No.
Well, he didn't give you any dates.
No, he didn't. No.
And the cost that he talked about, he even said, one day.
Yeah.
It kind of goes.
If Elon is saying that, then that's,
hang on. Is this not just what we're wanting here? I mean, look, I feel the tech industry, we complain when, we don't get the latest iPhone that's got, some kind of helicopter style attachment that can take us to the store, because it's just another evolution. It's not a revolution. And we get bored about that. And then a company comes along and says, look, here's some cool ideas. What do you think of this? And everyone says, oh, yeah, well, down with that, because it'll never happen. What a waste of time. No one can win, right?
So I think you'll find not everyone says that. That was me.
Yeah, it's exactly who I'm talking about. You and your kin.
Yeah, it depends on the background. It'd look fine. If a company comes like, look at Rabbit with the R1, right? Oh, man, how much backing did they get? We were so excited. This could be absolutely amazing. And it turned out not to be. But the point is that if companies come out and promise a revolutionary technology like a robot butler, then everyone, of course, wants to see that succeed. But the fact of the matter, Elon's he's made too many promises and broke them in the past anyway.
But he's not trying to sell this one yet. Unlike the iPhone with AI, which
sorry, Greg,
hasn't even happened yet.
I have to tackle Shaun to the ground on this one. So what are these issues?
Move to the side, Greg. Hold my coat.
What is the deal here with these promises he's made and not kept? I mean, I understand that the car, I know you're talking specifically about the full scale or capability of it driving itself.
Yes, exactly that.
But what else has he failed on? What has he failed to deliver? I mean, these rockets seem to be doing pretty well. the ones that, head off to wherever they go and come back. And they actually come back, which is kind of mind-blowing in itself.
As I mentioned, absolutely amazing, yes. But
the Teslas are selling. I mean, yes, it was a slow start. It was rickety and
rockety as well.
Yeah. But, it's like, I don't know. He's getting there with it. I mean, it's not a case of nothing's working. The
Hyperloop, absolute nonsense. I mean, scientifically impossible to get the Hyperloop to work. That would never have happened. Neuralink, I'm sorry, promising on things that are nowhere near in any
far
scope.
Too early to make that assessment.
Yes, far too early to talk about it in that sense as well. It's all about, as the judge said in that recent class action, he's calling it puffery. This is just company puffery. This is marketing speak. I'm sorry, it's not. If you look about what he's promised, and yes, I'm going back to the full self-driving, these are what people are buying this hardware on these promises. And I don't think it's good enough to just say, well, you should know this is just, it's exaggeration.
There's no denial that when he started selling the cars, there was a lot of upset people for right reasons because they were sold, and you've experienced it yourself, Greg. You said, you went to the dealership, they said, hey, you spend this extra money, you'll get this feature. And of course, that was unlikely to happen, and we absolutely, I think they were overselling on that, no doubt at all. But I'm yet to see what else he has promised that has yet to be delivered upon in the way you're suggesting, the way that you're almost writing off everything he's doing going forward. That's what
no, I'm not writing off everything. As I mentioned, SpaceX, absolutely amazing. I like the work he's doing with Tesla. What I don't like is these far-fetched promises that he's making about the Gigafactory, for example, which took absolutely ages. He's building an AI supercomputer, is it in Michigan? At the moment, a server farm that's just going to have the computing power bigger than anything else we've ever seen.
Will that make Twitter load quicker?
That almost rhymes. Look, I understand what you said. And look, this is the reason why I said it's difficult to hedge your bets against Elon, because he will surprise you, and he does deliver on some things. I just think, to be honest, I've almost tuned him out.
Well, the difference here is at least he's learned a lesson, or they've learned a lesson, in that he's not saying, I'll have this to you in 5 years and it's going to be $30,000 for the robot. He's just saying, look what we're working on. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a reality. So I didn't have a problem with that, because he wasn't promising me that. He wasn't saying, yeah, send in your pre-order, because it's not even ready.
The stock market did, though, although Waymo stock went up 10% as Tesla went down.
Yeah.
So here's the question for both of you. Is he a mad genius, or is he just mad?
He's a mad genius. He is amazing in his ability. He's got good foresight. He does get companies, everybody wants to say it's all him, but the companies that he has worked with have done some amazing things. By the way, it's the engineers that are doing it, not him.
And look, I've got to say this, I'm an Apple fanboy, as most people know. And, of course, I shed a tear on the day Steve Jobs died. But at the same time, I also realized that he didn't personally build the iPhone.
Right.
And I think that's the bit that we need to decouple here a little bit, because I think there's a danger that we tend to just see him. And of course, it's because he presents, right? But, he didn't personally build the car. He didn't personally, do every single bit of this. He isn't in there with a screwdriver.
He made it happen.
But of course, it was his status that kind of brought it to fruition, right? I mean, if the chief engineer had come out and announced all this, we might have paid a bit more attention, but it would never have got the kind of worldwide attention that the event got. So I guess it's that difficulty in you want to put him on the front because he's the guy, but he does come, and this is of course all down to X, frankly. I think that the purchase of that platform and what's happened on that platform has really given people a view on Elon Musk, and irrespective of what he does in his other companies, they kind of attach X to him. But of course, we have to remember, and this is what I keep saying, it's not everything is him. It's a bunch of other people. Neuralink, it's not him going in there and taking people's eyeballs and making them work.
No, it's nobody.
But at Tesla, yeah, it's the engineers that are making this happen. Tesla and SpaceX and all the things that are doing things. They have some great people working them. He's a visionary. He's a marketing guy. He's
an amazing engineer
kind of
as well, by the way, by all accounts, software and mechanical.
So maybe he is in there doing some of this. But you do have to strip. It's hard to strip away him when he's the one making the announcements. He's not a great public speaker, by the way. But,
no, he's not. No.
But he was, he did that whole thing himself, so it's hard to strip him away. But just think about if that was Tesla doing the announcements, somebody else from Tesla, you'd be saying, wow, yeah, they've done a whole lot of good things, and I see some of these things coming. And I do see that. And I'm very hopeful that he can, for instance, on the cars, bring it cheaper, do it with just cameras. I don't know how he's going to do it with just cameras, but if he can, yippee, that would make it cheaper. It would make it more likely that I could get one.
Gregg, always good to talk to you. Come back soon.
Absolutely. A lot of fun.
Thanks, Gregg.
Another really interesting show. Great conversation with Gregg. It's always good to catch up with him. Tomorrow on the show, Be My Eyes are back with us. We can't keep them away, Shaun.
Again, this is ridiculous. It's the Be My Eyes show.
But listen, you enjoy your book reading tonight with Julie Cooper. And enjoy that. And find out, can an audiobook leave you hearing impaired? We shall find out tomorrow on Double Tap. Catch you then.
Thank you. Bye-bye.